So we're all familiar with ride sharing platforms, Uber, Lyft, all that kind of stuff. What if I was to tell you that there is actually an equivalent crypto narrative that has the potential to 100x? It's called DePIN, or Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. This is a term for decentralized applications, or even sometimes centralized applications, that are incentivizing people to provide real world services. To give us an idea of how important this is, let us look at the sharing economy more broadly. So, according to a report by Allied Market Research, the sharing economy was valued at $387.1 billion. That was back in 2022. It's projected to reach more than $827 billion by 2032, giving a compound annual growth rate of 7.7%. That gives us a glimpse of how big DePIN can get, and it's probably going to go beyond those estimates. To be honest, feels a bit conservative. The traditional sharing economy is a great idea, but of course, it relies on all those centralized platforms. Uber is a centralized platform. DePIN is a step up since it's using blockchain technology to create a decentralized network, thus removing the need for central authority. People can connect via smart contracts. Now, stay with me for a few minutes as we discuss different DePIN projects and use cases more broadly. One of these might give you that hollowed 100x gain, or not. You lose all your money too. Crypto's risky. Crypto research firm Masari released a report about DePIN earlier this year. The authors believe that the DePIN sector will add $10 trillion to the global GDP over the next decade, another 100 trillion, yes, with a T, in the decade after that. Now, those are the kind of bull numbers that I'm here for. Yes. And just to give you an idea of how crazy this number is, the 2022 global GDP was $100 trillion. The authors believe that this staggering amount will be achieved because of the DePIN flywheel, which means that the bigger and stronger a DePIN project becomes, the more users and developers will actually flock to it. Sort of like a snowball rolling down the hill, just picking up more and more stuff until it creates a giant avalanche and destroys the entire city of profits. I know the numbers are tempting, of course, but how can we all take part in this narrative? Well, depending on who you ask, the DePIN sector being categorized into 2, 4, 6 categories. But instead of debating the true number of DePIN categories, let's just look at some of these different niches and the projects that are associated with each one of them. Now, before we dive in, disclaimer, please note, no one has paid us to be featured in today's video. The information that you will find here is provided to you for free for educational purposes. This is not a recommendation for you to go out and to buy or to sell or to hold any of the coins related to the DePIN protocols that were being discussed here today. I don't own any of these right now that are being discussed, by the way. For full portfolio disclosures, please see the link in the description on YouTube, or you can see it in the pinned comment over on X. By the way, I could own some of these in the future. For example, I might buy Render, which we're discussing in today's video. I quite like Render. We did a video on that recently. Go watch it. I also do have some DePIN plays in my portfolio, like Peak, P-E-A-Q, and EMC, which is a DePIN GPU network. But we're not talking about those today. Okay, so let's get into it. One popular category is servers or cloud storage networks. In a nutshell, blockchain-based cloud storage solutions are an alternative to expensive centralized cloud companies like Amazon Web Services or Google's Cloud. The biggest in this category, and really the whole DePIN sector, is Filecoin, which is arguably the DePIN OG, or one of the DePIN OGs. I can throw Golem or someone in there too. But anyway, I digress. The project itself started back in 2014, and the mainnet was actually launched in 2020. So these guys have been around doing the stuff for a while. The idea behind the project is quite simple. People who lend out their excess storage are paid with the FIL token, which at the time of filming is like a $3.5 billion market cap. Another one to pay attention to in this niche is Arweave. This decentralized storage service operates on the same principle as Filecoin, but with some notable differences. For one, Arweave focuses on permanent, long-term solutions, sort of a time capsule for important data. A single upfront fee will give 200 years of storage. That's crazy, which is almost for longer than you're going to live, right? Well, me too, I guess. But anyway, Arweave is also a DePIN OG. It had its mainnet launch back in 2018. It's also worth noting that several popular crypto projects use Arweave, like Solana and Avalanche. So that's pretty cool, right? So the success of these blockchains will also contribute to the success of Arweave. Now, as for tokenomics, it has more than $2 billion in market cap with a maximum supply of 66 million tokens. Now, if you're looking for a similar project with a much smaller market cap, aka much higher risk, take a look at Coin. Also been around for ages. It boasts being 90% cheaper than traditional cloud storage solutions like Amazon. It also promises good security because aside from, of course, encrypting the data, the network actually slices individual data into little chunks essentially and puts those pieces into different hard drives, sort of not putting all the eggs into one basket. Don't put all the data in one basket. This makes data breaches highly unlikely. Now, let's move on to the next one. Most people like free Wi-Fi, but what if there is a network that lets you earn from hosting a wireless network? Well, DePIN's wireless category lets you do just that. Now, one of the first movers in the space is the Helium network. This is a blockchain project that has a market share of more than $600 million. Now, without diving too deep into detail, the Helium or HNT network lets individuals deploy hot spots and provide long range connectivity to Internet of Things devices or IoT devices, which was a pretty hot topic a few years ago. Participants are then rewarded with HNT tokens for that coverage. Now, a bit of trivia. Sean Fanning, one of the creators of the P2P platform Napster, is also one of the founders of Helium. So that's pretty cool, right? Internet OGs are behind this. This highlights, of course, the project's deep roots in decentralized networks. The price action of the token hasn't been the best, and I'm unsure if it will be something that will wildly perform in the future, but being one of the early movers still makes it worth mentioning here. Again, we're not saying what to buy, sell, or hold, just covering what's big in the space. And speaking of Wi-Fi, there is a crypto project built on the Polygon network that lets users find free Wi-Fi. It's called Wi-Fi Map, and it acts as a giant search engine for Wi-Fi hotspots. It crawls the web and gathers information about public Wi-Fi locations from various sources, including user contributions. Now, people who contribute to the network by adding hotspots, by verifying information, or by running speed tests are rewarded in the Wi-Fi token. Now, its market cap is currently below $30 million with a maximum supply of 1 billion tokens. With a database of 4.5 billion hotspots and 150 million users, this community-driven project is definitely showing some great enthusiasm and a bit of interesting potential. Now, let me interrupt the flow real quick before we get on to our next DePIN niche to tell you about the best damn newsletter in the cryptocurrency industry. It just happens to be my newsletter. It's called Wealth Mastery. And every week, my team and I, a whole team of researchers here, by the way, we are bringing you the latest and best money-making insights on airdrops, altcoin news, deep dives on altcoins, NFTs, technical analysis, and much, much more. Join our 120,000 plus weekly readers, and you can sign up for free. Yes, free, using the link down below in the description. Stop missing out. It's free. Check it out. Now, data is one of the most important resources, of course, in modern society. Data is the new oil. I'm sure you've heard that said. And sensor networks were created to collect that data. Now, one example of a sensor network is HiveMapper, which is the decentralized equivalent of Google Maps. See, participants get to share street-level imagery while they drive or travel from their HiveMapper dash cams, which is a pretty damn cool idea, right? In return, they get rewarded with honey tokens. Now, the network was launched in 2022 and has about $150 million market cap, again, at the time of recording this video, with a maximum token supply of 10 billion tokens. Now, you might say that's nothing new, but we should consider this. According to McKinsey and Company, the driver assistance and autonomous driving systems markets could create up to $400 billion in revenue by 2025. So, yeah. Now, aside from AI, what do you think they would need? A reliable and up-to-date map. So keep an eye on these type of projects. And speaking of vehicles, DIMO, DIMO, makes it possible for participants to earn from data collected from their cars, which might include stuff like fuel consumption or engine performance, which that's kind of cool. You're driving anyway, so why not? Companies build applications and services based on the data that they collected. The DIMO token, which is used to incentivize user participation within the network, currently has a market cap of around $72 million. Now, what do you think is important for the advancement of our civilization beyond all this fun kind of stuff, right? Well, it can be argued that power is what propels progress. Can't do any of the stuff that we do without energy, right? So much so that a scientist named Nikolai Kardashev invented the Kardashev scale, which measures how advanced a civilization is based on its power production and usage. But we won't get into that rabbit hole. That's a very interesting one to go down for now, anyway. Instead, let's look at the energy-focused DePIN projects. This is a pretty cool niche. Now, whether you believe in climate change or not, renewable sources of energy are going to continue to grow in the coming years, and they're pretty cool. I like renewable energy. Solar panels, all that stuff's neat. In fact, the International Energy Agency predicts that 35% of the supply globally will be from renewables by 2025, which is next year, in case you've been keeping count. Now, Arkeen is a Web3 powered digital infrastructure project for globally distributed renewable energy sources. Renewable energy data from participants are used to analyze energy consumption patterns in order to improve efficiency. In fact, DePIN energy stuff's been pretty popular for a few years in crypto. It's had its moments. Anyway, this can also be used to develop smart energy grids. Participants, like most projects, of course, here in this case, are rewarded with tokens. Now, this relatively new project had mainnet launch in February 2024. So, hey, high risk, right? Now, AI. Let's talk AI. AI is an area, of course, on its own. We've done lots of videos on that, but a lot of AI projects can also be considered to be DePIN projects because one of the most hot use cases is decentralized GPU networks. Now, having AI in the labels probably enough to pique the interest for many investors, but having DePIN labels, two niches together, will further increase the earning potential for any project. Now, I discussed the AI crypto potential a few weeks ago, so if you want to go watch that great video, I'll leave a link down below. You can also see videos we did on like Render and BitTensor and stuff like that. Anyway, the AI DePIN niche, the Big Daddy's Render, which rewards participants for sharing their excess GPU power with the network. It already has a pretty big market cap of $3.5 billion, which makes 100x or even 50x maybe too much to expect at this point, at least for the cycle. However, there is a similar project that has less than $500 million in market cap, and that is Golem. Golem is a decentralized marketplace wherein the network harnesses all that excess computing power from the contributors, and then, of course, sells it on to whoever the heck needs it. Golem, of course, OG as well, been around for ages. So it makes it a cheaper alternative to those traditional, again, centralized cloud computing services. Sellers are paid with the GLM token, as we so often see with these DePIN projects. Now, look, DePIN projects are still in the early stages compared, of course, to the more established crypto narratives and even, of course, the Web 2 infrastructure networks, the decentralized networks. Thus, it makes it an interesting frontier in the wild west of crypto. Of course, always risks involved, but early prospectors who did their homework right can make a lot of money out of it. Some prospectors are going to die down in the mines, though, so keep that in mind. Thanks for watching.